Welcome to Wellraiser Radio. I'm your host, Joshua Coburn. With me, as always, is the stunner, Shane Symon.
I like it.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, I love that.
And hardcore, Simon Sandbar. Today's guest is Ashley Horner, which is awesome. The list would be shorter for me to talk about what she essentially doesn't do because she pretty much does everything. Ashley is a mother of three, crossover athlete, pro fitness competitor, ultra runner, and triathlete. She also represents massive companies like Reebok and bodybuilding.com, Rock Tape. She's also a huge inspiration to her Ashletes, which is super cool. Hashtag Ashletes. And the owner and trainer of a training center where she also operates the Unbroken Foundation and is the author of 13 ebook trainers, as well as a ton of other stuff. And today we talk about all of that, plus her inspiration for doing each of those things, and tons more. So tune in right now. Thanks so much. Ashley, welcome to Wellraiser Radio. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So in the interest of diving right in, I mean, your story, obviously you're into fitness. Everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows what you're up to. But there's a story before that. There's a big piece of life before you got to where you're at currently. Do you mind talking a little bit about that for the people who haven't begun their fitness journey yet?
Yeah, so for me, I would say it probably started in high school. And I had a lot of friends. I was always an athlete. You know, I had like the bigger legs and the big butt. And I played soccer in high school. And for women, I guess for girls, like at that point, there wasn't really a whole lot of options as far as like weightlifting. I remember going to the gym whenever I was in high school, but I didn't really lift any weights, especially I never got around the squat rack or, did a bench press or, some of your staple lifts because I was afraid that lifting would make me just look manly. It was kind of like, especially for female athletes in middle school and high school, which is where I was at the time. Girls weren't really picking up weights at that time. And I recall watching a lot of some of my really good girlfriends struggle through eating disorders. And for me, and like, I'm going to be completely honest, like, I remember trying to make myself throw up because I thought that was like the thing, like, to how to be skinny.
Wow.
And because I was always thicker and more muscular naturally. And I just couldn't. And I realized, like, I was just doing cardio and, for breakfast, I was having like a sugar loaded smoothie. I didn't understand like just how to eat clean and how to eat, healthy to grow and to even repair your body. And so it probably started in high school. And that's whenever my mom got me a membership at the gym that she was at. And so I did some like aerobics. It was like called body pump or something, but we were actually lifting like barbells, like the little short barbells and dumbbells. And so that was what initially got me kind of into weightlifting in high school.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So was there like a specific catalyst for you to kind of dive into the weights or, obviously, like you said, my kind of interpretation of weightlifters at that time that were women came from like American Gladiators. If you guys remember that show at all, like that's all I knew. So, I mean, was that an inspiration for you at all? Or did you have an inspiration at that time? Or was it just like, I want to be more fit?
To be completely honest, like I didn't know at all, like what I was doing. I remember, my mom's pretty muscular as well. And I think it was kind of watching my mom, kind of just following her around and watching what she was doing. And I was so afraid, I was always really insecure about my arms, and which sounds kind of funny because like, I don't know, like whoever says like they're insecure about their arms, but it was just a good example, I was afraid to lift like heavy weight because I was afraid it was just going to make my arms bigger. And then once I realized that it wasn't about just getting on a cardio machine, and I began to like lift heavy and like to really train my body to perform. It changed my mindset on weightlifting. And that probably happened like, high school, I was playing soccer and, that's kind of when I just started realizing that, oh, there's this world of like weightlifting, but I didn't really get into weightlifting a few years down the way a little bit. So
now, Ashley, at one point, I the research that I have done on you to look you up a little bit, I kind of Facebook stalked you a little bit. I did some Pinterest stalking a little bit. You talk about, looking in the mirror and having super low self-esteem, feeling gross about yourself. Yep. Now, you've touched on the fact that you had this background. There was an interest in weights. There was an interest in going to the gym was not an alien concept to you before you looked in the mirror, before you felt gross and disgusting or whatever with the C-sections, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. But now, was that 6 years ago? This big transformation happened around 6 years ago, right?
Right. So I got pregnant young, and with my first son, I now have 3 little boys, and my youngest is now 7.
Wow. Congratulations.
And I was pregnant, and I gained a lot of weight, and I went to my doctor, and it was towards the end of my pregnancy, and, he was like, oh, you need to be careful. You need to watch your weight gain. And I was like, okay. I was like, whatever. And, I was like, yeah, okay. And that night I went home and I signed up for my first fitness competition. Wow. And I didn't even know what they were. I just remember looking in an Oxygen magazine and seeing the girls who they honestly their bodies just didn't look real. And I was like, there's no way. I was like, there's no way that's even is that even possible for a female to look like that? And so I went home and I signed up with this for this competition. It was a figure competition because, I was always a little bit muscular, but never really trained at that point. And I swear it was the very next day I woke up, and this was probably a week before my delivery date. And I woke up and I had stretch marks on my stomach. I didn't know my belly was so big, I couldn't even see the bottom of my stomach.
Wow.
And I was mortified. I was I at that point I had never even heard of women, especially in the fitness industry, really dealing with something like that. But I had already signed up for it, and I had already made a commitment, and I was doing it with another girlfriend who was also expecting at the same time that I was. And so I went through, and then on top of that, I ended up having my son probably 2 weeks after that, and I ended up having to have a C-section as well. And so on top of all of that, I was it was a whole nother battle with myself of and that's whenever, and I talk about that a little bit on social media, that, I just remember just being absolutely exhausted. And I, at that point in my life, I had never, especially any fitness models at all, dealing with body image issues or, stretch marks or, C-sections, that was just unheard of. And so, but yeah, that was probably a low point in my life, but I had made a commitment to myself, and so I was just I'm just going to follow through, no matter how scared I am.
That's amazing. I mean, what was the time frame from when you signed up to competition date? Because I mean, you're dealing with a lot of variables. I mean, the having a child at home after the pregnancy process plus recovery from surgery. I mean. And then on top of that, the change of diet, the hitting the gym X number of times a day or X number of hours a day, holy cow. My wife just did her first figure competition, so our family just got the, oh my God, this changes everything kind of moment. So, your life must have been completely upside down at that point.
Yeah, so from the day that I had my son, I stepped on stage almost exactly on his birthday, on his first birthday.
So 1 year.
Wow.
1 year.
Holy crap. Impressive. I mean, it's impressive anyway, but holy crap.
Do you remember your very first workout? What was your very first, you committed, you're done, you had the opportunity, you were healed enough, and you walked into the gym. Do you remember what you did the first time?
No, I got. Do you guys know the big step mill, like the big like stair
Oh, yeah.
stepper, like the revolving steps?
Yes.
So
Yeah, I love
did
that
a lot
thing.
Of that.
Wow.
I remember like for like interval training, I would do hits on that. But it started, people. I feel like it's easy to be intimidated by weight training, but there's little steps that you can take along the way. You don't have to just walk in and pick up a huge barbell and be like, okay, I'm going to throw this over my head today. That's why they put machines there, and that's why they have dumbbells, and that's why they have the Smith machine, because there's steps that, people can take if they're not confident enough to like walk in and pick up a barbell.
So to that end, for all those just starting out the journey, not only what did you first do, but what was your mindset going in there? I mean, there had to have been tears at some point of, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, can I do this? I mean, did you go through those mental paces?
Oh yeah. I mean, without a doubt I did. I remember my training, I was so driven, because I think I was driven out of fear, initially, because I was so scared. Like I was so scared to get on stage that it was the fear that I would get up on stage, or it would be my turn and I wouldn't be adequate enough. And so, or that my body wouldn't be ready. And so the first, probably, especially my first competition, it was definitely fear driven. And that's why like everything like that, I did research on bodybuilding.com, and everything that I did was like, I mean, there were no cheats, like, because I was scared, and I was just kept telling myself like to trust the process. And then, even when it got closer to competition time, I really think that it's easy for your mind to play tricks on you. And especially like if your wife just competed recently, that,
Right.
You're like 4 weeks out or like 6 weeks out, and you're just like looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I don't think I'm ready. And you're like, yes, you're like,
Totally.
You're like 0% body fat. You're ready.
That was totally
so.
it. For sure.
All right, so
Yep.
you talked a little bit about like how you got going, but where you're at now, there's a huge transformation when you're talking about. It's very relatable to any woman, any guy who has never been in the gym. Like, it's just taking that first step, right? And then having
Right.
the fortitude to continue on, take another step, and then the next day take another step. And from all of those little steps, you are now a mother of 3, you're a crossover athlete, you're a pro fitness competitor, you're an ultra runner, and a triathlete. What is a crossover athlete, first of all?
So a crossover athlete is more like a hybrid athlete. So I train on like, not only can I get on stage and do a show, but I do powerlifting. I can do Olympic lifting, which that's on my bucket list to do. From like ultra running to, I just do all types of running, because I feel like people, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but so oftentimes, like, we put ourselves in a box and we just think that we can train one way or compete in one sport. And for me, and it's probably like a personality type, I love to do everything. Like, I love it all. And so I'm just, for myself, I'm like, why do I have to pick one sport that I do? Like, I want to do all of them. So whenever I'm a crossover athlete, like I cross over to like,
Yeah, I'd never heard that phrase either until I read it on the site too.
Right,
So I'm
right.
glad you asked that. I love the way you explained it though. Like, at this point, the phrase "all" is like, I want to achieve all the dreams. I want to lift all the weights. That's totally what comes to mind.
So if I asked you to pick one thing during a triathlon that you liked, running, swimming, or biking, did you have one that you like more than the other, or do you like them all?
I'm going to guess biking.
I would say swimming.
Good for you.
I'm a self-taught swimmer, but I really enjoy swimming. I hate running, so never gonna say running.
In like every single video, you're running at some point. So it's good that it's good that you accept the fact that that's just life at this point.
Yeah, I keep doing it, thinking I'm gonna hit that like aha, moment where I'm like, I love running, but I don't.
Have you ever heard of total immersion swimming before?
I have not.
If you look it up, you think you'd really like it because I'm with you. I'm a triathlete, and swimming was always tough for me because I'm not a small person to pull through water. And I found this system called total immersion swimming, and it talks about balance in the water. From that point on, it was just a piece of cake. It was really enjoyable to swim. I mean, I always liked it, but it wasn't as much work, and I really could relax and swim long distances. I think you'd probably love it. But I'm talking to the trainer of trainers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That total immersion, what it reminded me of was the difference between dragging myself through the water
right,
and skimming through water,
right,
that
for
type
sure.
of thing.
Yeah.
I liked it. I don't know. That was just me. But I don't do triathletes anymore. I'm 41. That was like 10 years ago.
But
12 years
I'm
ago?
older than you, so you should be able to be totally doing triathlons.
Yeah.
I have your wetsuit in my garage.
You still have that?
Things
Yeah.
are getting awkward, dude.
Sorry.
Things are getting
For real.
You're
So
never too old.
There
yeah,
you go.
listen to that. Never too old.
Never
See,
too
making
old.
excuses.
Yeah, Shane, jeez.
Making excuses.
I'm sorry.
Hashtag Ashlete right over
There
here.
you
It's
go.
got to happen. So, speaking of that, like obviously your Ashletes have you to look to for, everything, every piece of motivation and inspiration to keep going. And obviously you share their stories on social media, which then further empowers everyone. Who or what inspires you? I assume you have a network of amazing people you surround yourself with, or have, a great Muhammad Ali or, whomever that you aspire to or that pushes you. Who is that?
I would honestly say that I really find kind of like whenever you're talking about like the group of Ashletes, like those women are really inspiring to me. For myself, like I know that a lot of people view myself like they view me as they think that, like I'm like way up here, but I struggle with the same things that they struggle with every single day. And so even seeing those women who are also moms and they're professionals and, going through that and like really trusting in me and like my training programs that they do, like that's just like, it just fuels the fire. Like it's so much motivation for me, and it's really inspiring to be able to see women in fact like overcome their fears or to like overcome like the hurdles that have been placed in their lives. So they're really the ones. They think that, they always say like Ashley, and like I hear it all the time. I don't know. It doesn't really, I guess. It's weird to hear that because people are like, oh, you inspire me, and I'm just like, well, you guys are like the ones like that who truly inspire me. So like, thank you, for being there for me.
Yeah, I can certainly relate. I mean, I speak at high schools, and to have kids walk up and tell me like, look, the words, the phrase, you changed my life.
Right.
How can any of us wrap your head around that? Like, I go out there for them. It has nothing to do with me. And at the end of the day, they give me something I could never have asked for. You know what I mean? So it's crazy to hear it at your level. I mean, I know you said, they think of me up here, and I can see why. It's because you're a take no BS, push through it no matter the pain woman. And that is super inspiring. Right. Often you don't run into that. And when you do, it can be very intimidating for individuals that, are around you. Do you run into that people are intimidated, men included, by you and your personality and everything you've achieved?
Yeah, a lot actually. So,
really?
That's like the one thing, like probably like one of the most common things that I hear is like people get so nervous around me and like they either don't know what to say or, and then they like will finally talk or like kind of open up and they'll just be like, I'm so intimidated by you. And I have a training facility out here in Virginia Beach. And, that's probably one of the most common things that we hear is that people are intimidated to come to the gym because they're like intimidated by me, even though like we train people from like all levels of fitness. But I do hear that. I'm just like, I think I am pretty like mentally, like I know what I want type thing. So I don't take any BS from anybody, and I don't have, my life is so busy. Like part of it is, I don't have time to ever beat around the bush. Like
Right.
I just kind of call it how it is, and it's never meant to like hurt anybody's feelings or, but that's just kind of like my personality. Like I'm just real with people. But yeah, it does intimidate a lot of people.
So how do you handle like the day-to-day? I mean, I think you made a good point that you're just like everybody else, but you have an extra layer of, if it's fame or it's notoriety and 1 million plus followers that you have. How do you handle your day-to-day kind of stress, or do you not look at that like that at all, or do you just you're just a normal person but you have this extra layer onto your life, or how do you deal with that day-to-day?
Yeah, so every day I try to wake up at least 30 minutes before all my boys wake up. And I think, you can call it like your quiet time or like meditation, but I really think that's really important for anybody at any level. And so I really practice that of just having, because like once like my day starts, it's insane. And I mean, it's like 110 miles an hour. Like it does not stop. And I've gotten really good at creating lists and checking those lists off. But, on top of that, my circle of friends, it's small. And the people who work with me or for me are in fact like my friends. They've become some of my best friends. And, I think that's really important. Like at night, I have to make myself like stop working or, because I truly love what I do. Like I enjoy it. And, so I think that, to answer your question, it's having that quiet time with yourself to kind of remind yourself why you started or what direction that you're going, the purpose of what you're doing. And then it's having a list and like actually taking action to those things that you have good intentions for. Because we can sit around the table like all night long and be like, oh, this is a great idea, or let's do this. But if you don't actively pursue that or actively move towards that, it's always going to stay in like the think bubble, or like the
No, go
list.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's it.
It's after having done so many of these shows, it's awesome. Like almost every time there's a note about action, checking things off a list. Because we talk to a lot of successful people who are doing amazing things. All of them have almost the same processes, if that makes sense. So it's really crazy to continue to see it. I mean, we have people from all walks of life.
And not just that, it's also people who are happy,
right?
Excited about what they do. Like you said, excited every single day to go to work, love what they do. I mean, it kind of is the defining thing that it goes back. I mean, that's an old adage of saying,
totally,
if you go to work every day and you love what you do, it's not really work, you know? So, I mean, yeah, the people we bumped into are all kind of continuously following those same lines. So It's pretty amazing stuff.
If I could inject a bit of myself in here, because I feel the same way you do. It's hard for me to shut off at night because I love what I do. I feel lucky to be able to do the things I do. Do you, what am I trying to say here? When I get to the point where like I have issues shutting it off, do you wrestle with that ever? It's like, 10 more minutes and I'm just about done. I'll finish this one thing and check it off my list.
How do you shut your brain off?
10 minutes goes to 25, goes to 45, I miss the kids going to bed. Like I'm guilty of that and I know it needs to change. So I'm curious, do you run into that or are you just like, this is my cutoff time, I'm disciplined, I'm done?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for myself, like it's easy, like if I'm just by myself and all the boys are asleep, like it's easy for me to stay up late. But I do, especially like I have that time of like, whenever it's like Ashley work time and then Ashley mom time, and you really have to separate the two because it's so like especially everything is like right there on your phone. So it's so easy, like it can continue to like drag you in. And so I have like shut off times because, if I don't get a good enough night's sleep, that will reflect poorly on my training in the morning, and my training's like very important to me. So it's all about like time management and knowing like that I have to shut it off.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like a matter of focus and sticking to it. When I'm a mom, I'm a mom. When I'm, training, I'm training. When I'm doing marketing work or social work, that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
I really need to refocus.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, indeed. It is.
Who would you say is your spotter? We've had a couple of different guests on the show. Candace from Walls of Jericho. We talked about all three of us have been passionate about working out throughout our lives. Who is your spotter? Who do you depend on? And it's not just in the gym. It's spotting in your life. You have 3 beautiful young little kiddos. You know, I just saw a video of you kissing your little baby boy and just enjoying that so much. But you have to have a spotter. Somebody has to help you out so that you can be successful, so that you can have that time to do all the projects that you're doing. And didn't you just open up like a beer and whiskey place?
Yeah, a coffee whiskey shop.
Oh, wow. That's
Coffee
pretty
whiskey.
badass. I didn't know that.
In Virginia Beach?
Yeah, it's called American Brew.
How did I miss that?
Dang it.
God.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that. That's pretty amazing.
But who is your spotter? Who do you lean on who helps you be this successful?
I would have to say my best friend, Erin. She came into my life probably like 2 years ago. And I just had like this crazy idea. I was like, I'm going to open up a gym. And she was like, okay. I was like, can you help me? Because I'm gone a lot. And she's like, sure. Neither of us knew like what we were doing. But since then, like her and I had actually like just met and we were like working out a little bit together. And since then, she's basically has turned into my manager pretty much. And so she is the general manager for the gym. But not only that, she basically helps me with any loose ends and really takes care of, that the time that I would be spending either on the computer, doing emails or, she helps with like a lot of my work with my sponsors, like communication and stuff. And, so she travels with me as well. And so she has been a huge help to just me like being able to kind of spread my wings a little bit. I still run all my own social media. I will never change that because I know like a lot of people kind of have like their social media people, but that's just like, I don't know, that's like kind of weird for me. So I handle like all my own social media and she helps me run a lot of the business side of things. So it frees up my time, like I can have time, with the boys more, like I can cut work off every day at 3:00, because she kind of picks up the loose ends for me.
That's awesome.
Nice. And how do you do the social media all the time with Twitter and Instagram and Facebook? I mean, I'm on Facebook for an hour and I feel like I lost part of my life. So how do you do that? Do you have a plan every day that you spend a certain amount of time doing something, or do you pick a time during the day that you're doing shots for Instagram, things like that? Or how do you manage that yourself? That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I just try to keep everything like as organic as I can. Like and you can probably kind of see it throughout my posts. Like, I don't have a certain time that I post. I do schedule Facebook posts. That's the only thing that I schedule, with like the click-through links. Cause you can like really take advantage of that on my main athlete page. So I kind of do that like maybe 24 hours in advance only. But I feel like with, my generation, it just really started kind of slowly and it just kind of like picked up the pace. So if you were to look at my Instagram, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 5 Instagram accounts on my phone that I am in charge of.
Right.
Right.
That's crazy. Yeah, because each business unit, I assume your training facilities plus you, like you personally.
My facility. I have a clothing line called Valkyrie Surf.
That's right.
We have a kids training site and like a kids training program. So it's Sled Pups, and then American Brew, which is our coffee whiskey shop, and then myself. So that's 5.
Wow.
It's very broad. And when I was looking at your website, initially I thought your demographic is women. Like you really focus on self-esteem and helping younger women out.
Empowerment
and military moms. And I want to talk about that too a little bit later. But I was thinking that your demographic is mainly women, right? And then I watched your Charlie Mike promo video, and it was like I was 12 years old again listening to Eye of the Tiger with Rocky, and I just wanted to start fucking moving, and working out, and it was very inspiring, okay?
Thank you.
And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe her demographic isn't just mainly women. And then I click on sweet cakes. And here's the thing that threw me for a loop, because I was bouncing some questions off of a friend of mine today. I'm like, hey, listen, this is who I'm going to have on the show tonight. Here are some of the questions. Let me just ask these questions to you, and then you tell me if they sound terrible or not. And so I asked him some questions. He goes, listen, you're really looking at this through old man glasses, through an old man's lens. And I said, well, wait, have you seen the Sweet Cakes promo video? Because what I had asked was, do you think working out, being fit, self-esteem, and sex is always going to be intricately weaved together? Can it ever be separated? And he was saying, well, you're looking at this through an old man's lens. I go, listen, watch Sweet Cakes, because I watched Charlie Mike, and I could tell if I were to get into really good shape, and some of my buddies were like, hey man, what are you doing? I'm doing Charlie Mike. That's awesome. Well, yeah, here's the website, check it out. Or hey man, you're looking really great. What are you doing? I'm doing this thing called Sweet Cakes. Really? Yeah. I mean, here's the website, check it out. Now, and in my mind, my buddies would be watching me with your video and going, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, I want to see you doing Sweet Cakes, like that whole thing.
So then,
really hard.
So then I was really confused. Like, who
Right.
is your demographic? Like, what is your message, and who are you really trying to connect with?
Yeah, it is women. It is, in fact, women. I would say probably like 85-90% is women. And, I love, you have like Sweet Cakes over here, which is like uber sexy. And, and then you have Charlie Mike, which is like an all-American badass female.
Right. Yeah.
And I really do believe that like they both go hand in hand, and like, society has put this like this bar that, once you're a mom, or like, they place a limit, and that society has kind of caused it to be like engraved into our heads that we can't be like sexy and strong anymore. Like we have to just completely just give up on ourselves and on life. And so yeah, I mean, I really do believe that weight training, it just empowers you. And I really believe that. And that's what I really try to push women to, like, to find that confidence within themselves that they once had, or like maybe they never had it. But if you pick up iron, and you can start transforming your body, and yeah, like the sex is going to be better, your confidence is going to be better, and just like your overall just outlook on life is going to be better.
So proof that, you're looking at it through old man's eyes.
Yeah. I
proof. Further proof.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that said, too, I mean, everything you just mentioned brings me to one of the questions I had really that was important to me, because you can look at your stuff online or on social and really see your evolution as a person. Would you say that you've kind of become more you throughout this process the last several years? I mean, as I've kind of started working out and adjusted my mindset and changed, I don't feel like I've changed so much as I've become more the person I was supposed to be. Would you agree that that's the way it is for you, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I first started out, like, I thought that I wanted to be like a fitness model, because I thought like I could become successful, and that would help pay the bills, and I didn't have any money at the time. And I was trying to be, and I had like a half sleeve. And so I was like trying to be this bubbly, like cover model girl, and, like super like cheerleady. And I was trying to like, I can't like let my tattoo show, because I need to be like prettier and just like, fit in this little box. And yeah, like, I feel like, I don't know what it was, but like the moment that I was just kind of like, I don't care anymore. Like, this is who I am. And I just really like, I was I fell in love with who I was, like at the core. I just kind of blossomed and I was able to grow.
Was that when you saw the change in both life and business for you? Like you were not, you were creating a box. You weren't, or hell, you were breaking out of a box. You weren't even creating a new box. You know,
Yeah.
you were becoming more you. I mean, did you see that that's when everything changed from a business standpoint, personal life standpoint, everything?
Yeah, it was probably, I think I was just like in the beginning, I was trying to go down like a route that really wasn't me. And so, and this kind of goes for social media as well. Like you can kind of pick up on the people. You can't really fake who you are for very long. And so, whenever I was like first trying to get into, kind of like fitness modeling and stuff, I was just like, I thought there was like a certain way that I had to be or look or act. And it just wasn't who I was. I think I remember doing like one photo shoot and it was horrible because I was like, I don't know, I'll never forget that because it was ridiculously horrible because it wasn't me, and then as soon as like I was able to just put my hat on backwards and like just like not worry about anything, like though, like that truly started capturing like my true emotion and who I am. And so I like loved it.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
in that, what's your advice to, young ladies and women who are struggling to find that confidence and that person that's within them? I mean, what do you have to give to them for that?
I think that, we don't give ourselves enough credit for how great we can truly become. And we all have dreams and aspirations, but a lot of times they just stay like as dreams and aspirations. They never get acted upon. And if I would have known then what I know now, I would tell people to stay true to themselves and to just follow their heart. And there's going to be a lot of people along the way who won't support you, who think that like what you're doing is silly. And there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of companies who are going to tell you no, who are going to shut the door. But do not give up. Like you have to keep going. And if I would have given up like the first time that, somebody told me no, or like the first negative comment that, because that stuff hurts. Like even though that it's social media and like it's probably like some weirdo, like probably like not even like it's probably like not even a real person, but it doesn't matter. Like that stuff still really hurts. And you have to that's whenever I say like the whole like quiet time or like meditation, just like really even like journaling out your thoughts, it's so important because you have to keep your path that you're going in your mind clear, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to come along and try to take that away from you.
Yeah, you had actually posted, I think it was was it Pinterest or Instagram? I can't remember. You had a picture up there saying that it's very important to paint your day, to be in charge of painting your day. Take charge of your own paintbrush, because if you let somebody else paint your day, they could use dark colors.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful. I'm just thinking about having that time to yourself to think about, quietly, meditatively at the beginning of your day. It's almost like a Stuart Smalley thing. I mean, we made fun of it back in the day on Saturday Night Live with Stuart Smalley. I'm good enough. I'm brave enough.
Smart
enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. But we laughed at that. And I think that people purposely don't do that because they think it's a joke, but it's not a joke. Like you really have to take control of your life and inject those awesome colors that you want to see throughout your day. You have to change your point of view on how you're going to look at your world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a true believer that you are who you surround yourself with, who you surround yourself by. And so, it can happen so fast and you like cannot even realize it, like allowing negative people to come into your life, or maybe people who aren't helping you down like the right path of support. And and it's so important that, you know, you are who you surround yourself by, and, you know, take a look at people's friends, and that can kind of give you like a good idea about like the person that, you know, that they are.
Well, and I'll take it one step further. I remember probably 5-6 years ago, I hit a point where I was like following everybody else's idea of what I should be doing with my life. Right. And so I even told my brother would give me a hard time because he'd be like, so you hit 40, you decided to get tattoos, huh? Kind of thing. And I just said, I just don't, I mean, it goes with the Stuart Smiley kind of thing where it's like, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, but I just don't give a shit what anybody else thinks anymore. That's kind of the point that I think I hit.
You like it, right?
I want to do it. You know, I mean, I started CrossFit and people gave me a hard time about that because they're all fanatics and all this kind of stuff. And but it worked for me. I've never stuck with any kind of gym for 3 or 4 years of my life, you know, but it works for me. And being myself works for me. And I just don't care anymore what anybody else thinks. And I'm trying to instill that in my kids now.
Yeah,
but
it's tough.
It's tough. But I mean, it's hard to think that at 40 you hit those decisions. You wish I could do it a little bit sooner. But was that something that happened for you pretty early, or was it part of that transformation where you decided to just say, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm not going to worry about what anybody else thinks?
Yeah, I mean, like, even for an example, for like my coffee shop, I was opening like a coffee whiskey shop, and you know, it was easy. Like, I had this idea, like this vision in my mind of like what I wanted to open, and kind of, you know, what we wanted to do like on a bigger scale, like what the coffee shop was really about. And, you know, whenever, you know, you talk to like coffee roasters and stuff, because you got to decide on the beans. And for me, like, I wanted everything to be super simple. Like, these were the coffees that we were going to have, just black and white. There was no, you know, but it was easy. Before I knew it, like, there was somebody who was coming in saying, oh no, you need all these syrups, and you need to get like this Frappuccino, like blender thing. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I finally had to pump, like, I came to a realization. I was like, I gotta, like, no, like, I don't want any of that. Like, I want to go back to like my original plan and what I had envisioned and the purpose for opening up this coffee whiskey shop. And this is what I want. So I think it happens like through every, like, any transformation or journey, you know, that you're having, that you're always going to have different people kind of come in and interject, you know, and be like, this is what you should do, or like, you should do this, or why are you doing that? You know, you'd be like, you know what, it's your life. You do what you want with your life, and let me do what I want with my life. So, yeah. And
it's interesting, too, how the minute you start doing something that's what you want to do, which is different, somebody's going to immediately come in and try to co-opt that because it is different. That's what makes it unique and makes it special. And they want to somehow take that unique specialness and twist it into the thing that you don't want to be part of. It's really strange how that thing can happen so quickly.
Yeah, and it even goes like with training and fitness, because, you know, you'd be like, well, I'm going to train this way, and like, this is how I want to train. And people are like, well, why are you doing that? You need to be doing this. And, you know, like, you're always going to get people who come in and are going to try to interject into what you're doing and make you feel like that what you're doing isn't right, or like that it's not good enough, and that's not the case.
What kind of whiskey you guys have there, by the way?
You really want to know?
I do want to know, absolutely.
Yeah, we have Russell's, we have Dickel, we have Bullet whiskey.
Bullet's good.
We just brought in 2 new whiskeys that are a little higher end. We do the Irish coffees, and I think there's one more that I'm missing. That's
okay. You guys going to do any distillery for yourselves at all? Are you going to be doing anything just for your own brand kind of thing at all?
You know, I would love to do that. The space that we have right now is like pretty small, so we don't have enough space right now to be able to do that, but it's been talked about.
Yep. Horner Elite whiskey brand.
Yeah, Horner Elite.
Yeah,
good brand.
Telling you.
That's a good brand.
Horner Elite. That's great.
Yeah, see, it fits right along with your branding. Everything works.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, look at us.
Yeah, we're giving you ideas left and right. No, that's how you're successful, Ashley. Right. If you want some clues on how to be successful,
all you have to do is send cases of whiskey. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
I'll let you guys test it out for me.
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, and you know, Iowa could probably use one of these locations for us to frequent.
Coffee whiskey shop,
right?
Coffee
whiskey shop. Exactly.
I'll probably franchise it.
There you
do
go.
It.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Well, see, you're branching out. You're in your 40s. You're making changes. Let's dive in.
Let's do coffee whiskey.
Yep, there you go.
That's the next space.
You can franchise the crap out of that.
On top of the friends and the podcasting and the production work. Yeah.
Perfect.
That's what I say we do.
See, and look at you tearing him down just like we were talking. What are you?
Was
bad
that
cop
false
all
motivation?
Yeah, that was
false?
horrible. That
false?
was not a friendly thing to
tore,
do at
tore
all.
him right down.
All right, Ashley. Now you're in a lot. I mean, you're doing a lot of different things. There's books, there's workout plans, there's video, there's marketing, there's training, the coffee whiskey shop. Are you ever afraid of losing control of your narrative because of how powerful social media is, because of how on a dime you could be the hottest thing out there, and the next thing you know, you make one misstep and people tear you down? Are you afraid of losing control of your narrative or your message with everything that you're doing?
I'm not.
Awesome
No.
answer. I love it. Like,
Boom, I'm so sure of this. Nope.
I love it. Well, with that said, you are doing a lot of stuff, empowering everyone on the freaking planet. I mean, for real. I mean, not just women. Honestly, a friend of mine, Angela, shout out, because I would have not heard of you until she mentioned it on Instagram, and she's out there killing it. And she mentioned you. I'm just like, my gosh, okay, I need to figure out more about this individual. So, I mean, you're inspiring everybody. And you mentioned earlier, sled pups, but also you have the Unbroken Movement Foundation, correct? Do you mind speaking about both of those things?
So I guess on kind of what we're doing, or
yeah, just in general, what is it? And also the point, I mean, you're giving back. We talk to a lot of people who are just, as Shane mentioned, so busy with your own lives, and then you're still taking time out to give back for others, to give. And our show is called Wellraiser Radio for that reason. We're considerate of not only ourselves, but everybody around you. That's what a Wellraiser is instead of a Hellraiser. That's the whole kind of thing, because obviously I get misconstrued as a Hellraiser occasionally. And, seeing somebody like you so busy, you're still giving despite that, or in spite of that, maybe. I don't know. So, yeah, what is the Unbroken Movement, and what is Sled Pups, and how did they start? What's it about?
Yeah, so I guess to kind of answer your first question a little bit, how do I feel if I would lose everything by one wrong, if people would start tearing me down. The thing is that I've came to a realization that I started doing what I'm doing because I simply love doing what I'm doing, and I started this journey. I didn't really think ever that I could make it my career. And at this point, it's going to be a lifelong career. Fingers crossed, because I love it. But the thing is even I was doing this same thing on a much smaller scale, but I was doing it and I was truly loving what I was doing, and I wasn't making any money doing it. And now I've been blessed to be able to do what I'm doing, and I can make money doing what I love. And so if people were to, and people, I'm sure, tear me down, or they're, especially as you grow, it doesn't matter. And, just your name gets out there. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people who are just jealous. I don't know, who try to tear you down.
Sure.
But I will always do what I'm doing because I love what I do. And so nobody can take that away from me, because that's true success in my eyes, is just waking up every day and being able to do what I love.
Right on.
So the Unbroken Foundation is a foundation that, and as crazy as this sounds, I was in Colorado at this. It's called Unlife. It's called an Unlife retreat. This was last August, so about 10 months ago. And I was out there in the middle of nowhere, and I kept I feel there's been, I always had I love, my, you guys call it my fame, my notoriety or whatever, with fitness, that's pretty cool. But I feel I always felt there was a greater purpose for me doing what I'm doing. It's not just about getting likes, or it's not just about being I know who she is, or, et cetera, magazines or whatever. But I always felt, probably for the past, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or 2 years, that I was getting ready. I was almost preparing myself, or creating my platform to be able to do something much bigger, on a much bigger and better scale, and to have meaning behind. It's not just about followers and having 1 million followers, et cetera, and all that. but it's to truly be able to impact people's lives on a completely different level. And hands down, if you were to ask me what is the one thing that I am most proud of, and that's what I am most proud of, to be able to use what I have created as, this social media platform, and to be able to work with some of the biggest and the best companies in the fitness industry. Hands down, creating the Unbroken Foundation has been the best thing that I've ever done. And the Unbroken Foundation it's a foundation set up for battered and abused women. And I was out at the Unlife conference. There was probably like 10 of us. And I was there was no cell phone service, and like you're meeting with a lot of young entrepreneurs that are out there, people who are just, I was meeting with people who were literally changing the world. They were saving the world, like figuring out how to get water to like these remote like locations. It was just unbelievable. Like I was sitting in the room like, wow, like I need to do something with my life, because I feel so inadequate to like.
We feel that way on every show we have because of the extraordinary people we have. So thank you for being that for us. Now we need to go to the Unlife retreat and step up.
It was amazing. I got invited to go out there as like a young entrepreneur, and up at that, I felt like there was kind of like a build up to that. Like I was trying to figure out like what I wanted to do, and like, how I could like really truly give back to especially women, because I have such a heavy heart, like a good heart for women, and, finding beauty in their strength. And it just kind of like honestly hit me overnight. I remember I was walking around we were at a ranch, and I was like walking around with my cell phone, like trying to find service so I could email my team. I have like 2 girls who work for me. Erin is one of them. To be like, this is what I want to do. I want to start this like foundation, like let's start it like right away, and this is what we're going to do, and et cetera, et cetera. And so that's been pretty awesome. And just recently, we work pretty closely with a shelter down in North Carolina, and it was probably like 2 months ago now. I was able to raise $18,000 for a roof that they needed after visiting the shelter and meeting the women. And, we're really wanting to start bringing like some sort of fitness into these shelters and trying to figure out how to do that. And really trying to just like let these women know like about empowering them and help them to find beauty in their strength through fitness and learning to take care of themselves again. And we were able to raise $18,000 in 6 days.
Unbelievable.
And I ran 280 miles from Virginia Beach to North Carolina to the shelter.
Unbelievable. Congratulations on both of those feats. Like, holy crap.
Well, it's exciting. It's fun to see you get excited. I mean, you were talking about the inception of the idea of that that thing, and you just lit up almost the same when you're talking about your kids.
You talk about it.
You got super excited, and you got super motivated all over again. It looked like right there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to transition a little bit and talk about. I mean, you're doing that with the Unbroken Foundation, but one of the things that I also thought was amazing, I wanted to hit on real quick before Josh gets into his Fast Five, was your connection with military wives and going around to military bases. What I wanted to say was I commend you for your passion, the attention, and the time you give to our military and the military wives. When I was in the military, I felt as though being newly married and going through the military was like putting my marriage to a meat grinder. Mm-hmm. And I have the utmost respect for people who can keep it together when there are those large gaps of time when you don't see each other. So what I saw when I was at Fort Bragg was the women who had a community or a support group that they could outreach to, they really were successful. Mm-hmm. And the women who their whole lives revolved around their husband, and they needed him for joy and purpose. When he was gone, they really struggled. So
they fell apart.
Yeah, and so when I read that about you going around and helping those military families, it really hit home for me because it was a big learning experience for me in my life. as a soldier, I think one of those huge misconceptions that I really wish soldiers would kind of understand is men or women, that when you have that relationship, and when I would leave for 6 months or 3 weeks or whatever it was for the training op, I had in my mind this image of my wife. Mm-hmm. This is where she was, and it stayed there, and I just held on to that picture until I came back. And what I had a hard time coming to terms with, which my first ex-wife helped me with, which was great. It was like the best learning environment for me, period. I learned so much from my first wife. She's an amazing woman. But her saying, listen, I have to continue on when you're gone. I have to have a life that is fulfilling. And when you come back, you have to understand that I've created a routine. I have a process. I have friends. And I love you, but when you're back, we have to slowly integrate you back into my routine, because this is my life, and I don't know when you're leaving again. Mm-hmm. So that support that you're able to give to those ladies, I think is outstanding, and I applaud you for that.
Yeah, again, it all goes back to, to weight training, and I'm a true advocate for that. And, from, my life and everything that I've been through, good, bad, happy or sad, you can learn to channel those your emotions are very, very powerful. And I think once you learn to channel that into your training, you yourself become so powerful, because you're in charge of your own emotions. You don't let your emotions run you, but you run your emotions, if that makes sense. And also at the gym that we have, at the gym here in Virginia Beach that I have, we allow military spouses, if their husband or wife is deployed, they get to come train with us for the extent of their deployment, because we really create that.
Awesome.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. So we see a lot of that, and it's easy to fall apart and to become unraveled and to just say to give up.
Yeah,
sure.
And it's very important to you just stay independent, and that kind of weight training and picking up the iron, all of that does that for you. And so that's why I continue just to go back to the just pick up some weights, pick up some heavy weights, and all your problems will.
Yeah, because it's a very normal thing. It's a very normal thing to say thank you for your service to the soldiers. And I don't think that the wives and the family members staying at home supporting that soldier
they don't get enough credit.
Kudos. They don't get enough credit.
Right.
I mean, when that soldier comes home, or whenever they see that person again, they've been through a traumatic event. They're missing home, and that environment that family gives that soldier is so important. So for anybody to support that family who's still here is just it's one of the things that I think is not recognized enough. And again,
it really stood out to us that you do that for those people.
Sure.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, it
So-
really touched me.
So last thing we do, so we can finally let you off the hook here, is what we call the Fast Five. And essentially we ask 5 questions, and we are looking for an answer as quick as possible. And you did kind of answer the first question earlier, so you're a little ahead of the game. But are you ready for the Fast Five?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So weights or running?
Weights.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. All right. Think back to the sweet times in the mid-'90s. AC Slater or Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell?
Zach Morris.
Oh, I was so pulling for Slater. I mean, he was the athletic one. I just thought. And the Jerry curl? Gosh, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
Fitness wear or formal wear?
Fitness.
Awesome. And one piece of advice you give your 18-year-old self?
I wish that I would have known the extent of people's possibilities, because I would have started doing what I'm doing now a long time ago.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And lastly, where can people find out about what you're up to next, where you're headed, what you're doing, what you're releasing, what training you have available, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Ashley Horner Athlete. You can find me on Instagram at ashley.horner. And then probably all of those are probably going to be located on my website, which is ashleyhorner.co.
Awesome.
And one last thing, are you still planning on returning to the UK in July? And what is that for?
Oh, that got pushed back till possibly October. And it was for like a fitness show that I was going to go and speak at and just be like a guest appearance too. But it got pushed back to an October timeframe.
All right.
Excellent.
So, undetermined. We'll just say undetermined.
Undetermined.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much for your time and taking an hour out of your day.
It's been really great
Yeah.
hearing about what you do.
I mean, it's awesome. And I know so many people are looking forward to this show for the people who I kind of tossed it out to. So I'm really pumped to release this because I think you're going to just absolutely slay and inspire so many more people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely our pleasure. Thanks so much.
Have a great night.
Bye.
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 Are we set?
Yeah.
Awesome. Like for real.
I could totally talk to her for another 3 hours.
I know, she's
There's
so straightforward
There's
and-
so much stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you sift through all the different types of workouts? How do you sift through the BS of, hey, you need to work out this way. No, you need to work out this way. No, you need to do CrossFit. No, you don't need to do CrossFit.
And to that end, the whole thing about, the food, we didn't even touch food.
Or
and that's
diet,
like 80% of this whole thing,
But that's
right?
the
What are you
idea.
eating?
That's the idea. I think that's part of the idea, though, is that it's not just about one thing.
Yeah.
How are you on the inside that gets you to the point where you want to do things like work out or you want to do things like eat well? You have to get to the point inside of you that you want to do those things. So it's not just one thing.
Right. Yeah.
So we didn't hit on food, but we hit on the inspiration of why you want to work out, how to inspire yourself. Those kind of things are what enable you to get to that point.
Well, I love the fact that, and I know I mentioned it before, but I love the fact that consistently through each of these episodes, we're starting to see a real trend amongst these successful individuals. Taking action is always mentioned.
Right.
Making a list or at least kind of, figuring out what you want to do and in what order you want to do it has always come up. Quiet time. Mike Smith mentioned before.
A time of meditation.
Yeah,
in the
just
morning.
chilling out in the evening, kind of doing your time.
But I'm telling you, the
Unbelievable.
idea that you need to do what you love to do is the deepest theme for me. Is that. And I said, I think I kind of just briefly touched on it earlier, that's the idea that as I've hit my 40s, probably halfway through my life, I realized, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Or I want to do that. I love doing that, and I also want to do this. This is what really brings me happiness. It brings me joy and passion is doing some of these things,
despite the judgment.
right? Despite the judgment. I mean, that's a big. I shouldn't think that it's such a cross to bear, but it really is one of those things where you have to just shut it all out. And I said BS, or I just don't care anymore. Has been a bigger thing for me in the last 5 years. Is I just don't care. I've had plenty of people say, "Well, you do this and you do that."
Right.
Or you're on this podcast and you do this, or you help produce these podcasts and you guys talk about these things. And I'm just like, I just don't care.
And I am now forever going to associate Phil Collins with you. When you walk in, I don't care anymore. That's what I got. Every time you walk in a room, like my whole thing, like I have right, exactly. I have songs that I believe would play depending on my mood when I walk in the door.
I love Phil Collins.
And now when he walks in, I don't care anymore.
You got to have
Like,
your own
that's
theme
it.
music.
Exactly.
I think everybody needs to have their own theme music.
Yeah.
Or paint your brush.
Well, now when I walk in
Yeah.
a room, I'm gonna know
Yeah.
that's the song that's playing.
Exactly.
In your head for sure.
Yeah.
Somebody else
Well,
maybe not.
And see, like I always thought that, and when I speak, I have certain songs play when I walk out, depending on my mood. One that I've never played, but that I feel like should play when I walk in a room. And a shout out to an old tattoo artist friend of mine, Sean Wilcox, because he used to say this was his song when he walked into rooms. But I feel like now I understand the spring he had in his step, and I will apply it to me as well. But that is Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. Because it opened the door. It's like, yeah, I'm freaking here. You got me. Like that's what I feel. Like that's how it is for me. So
That's awesome.
Sledgehammer.
We should have asked Ashley what her theme song
what her
was.
theme
That-
song.
I'm
That's
right.
a-
That
that's
is
a good
Fast Five material
You
next
know what?
time.
When she listens to this or watches this, and then she shares it with all her fans, she can answer.
I will
She
ask.
should answer it, and she
Hey,
should
by the
ask
way.
her fans what their theme
Where's-
Yes,
song
what is
is.
your
I will.
theme song?
I will ask directly, Ashley, if you do actually come back and watch the full show. What is in fact your theme song when you walk in a room? Let us know on social media. And as
It's a
Simon
great
said,
T-shirt though. Hashtag What's your theme song?
oh snap, I love it.
I like it. I want a hashtag
What's your
Ashley
theme song?
T-shirt.
Yeah, well,
I like
like
that.
Ashley?
the Ashley.
Ashley,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
We should
You know
totally
what's
get 'em.
funny is I don't think that I would pick Phil Collins,
Well,
but I
what-
don't
what-
know
what-
what I would have.
So you
though.
don't know what your theme song is?
I think maybe "Rebel Without a Pause" by Public Enemy. That's-
Ooh, but see, and that's
But see, it's
yeah.
kind of out of my.
You know, it's kind of like nicknames. Maybe it's got to be bestowed upon you. Maybe Sledgehammer isn't it? Maybe someone's going to bestow something
I
wonderful.
think somebody would
upon
say
me.
"Rebel Without a Pause." Well done. No,
Right.
I think Phil Collins is much more. The bald white guy is probably a much better theme song to go with.
Agree. All right. So again, huge shout out and thanks to Ashley Horner for jumping on the show with us today. For those who want to catch up on older episodes, please hit up iTunes, joshuacoburn.com, Stitcher, YouTube. Really just Google the crap out of Wellraiser Radio. But Simon, what do you got going on here coming up?
Oh, if you want to go to tpsmedia.co, you can find the other podcasts that we produce here. We do audiobooks. We do all kinds of crazy fun stuff. So we just want to have you come to the website, check things out, subscribe, follow us on iTunes, follow us on Stitcher. There's lots of podcasts. The Bandwagon Podcast, great sports podcast. There is the Primal Scream podcast. They're hit and miss, but they're fun to listen to. The CVO Gun Talk with Ernie Trout is a fantastic show. Just lots of things to kind of, wet your whistle, so to speak. Mr. Scola, what do you have going on these days?
Is this a theme song for somebody?
I'm just saying, if I had a theme song, it might be this.
And what is it?
What is it?
Oh, Smooth Daddy up in the house, right? You know,
I'm just saying.
Is that
I'm
Ashley's song,
I'm
or
sexy
is
and
that-
I know it.
Oh, you're sexy.
I'm
and you
sexy
know.
and I know it. You got to have. You know what?
Who was that, by the way?
That's Noah Guthrie.
wow, never heard of the dude.
Noah.
He's
he is.
I'll have to check it out.
Fantastic.
I do dig the acoustic love music.
Yeah, he likes to do some cover stuff, but he has his own album. Anyway, I've said this from the beginning. Very young age, you have to take care of you first, and it sounds kind of shitty. Like I am the most important person in my life.
Sounds selfish. Sure.
Totally.
It does, but that is another trend that I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If I don't take the time to meditate, if I don't take the time to paint my landscape, if I don't take the time to set goals, be right with myself, do the job that is fulfilling to me, how can I change the world around me?
Yeah, definitely agree. It's interesting because first of all, thanks for listening to your own podcast as we were wrapping up, because now you just threw us for a loop and we got to
Sorry about
continue.
that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine if you want to look at the internet while we're talking. So, I mean, it's okay if you're not interested in your own podcast that you're on. That's fine.
I was trying to
But,
find
no, it's
Noah's.
it's
That's
okay
all
if
right.
we're not interested
Trying to find my-
on our own show. But
I consider it to like an EMT. If you come to a scene or of an accident, right? You don't just run in. If you are
What are you
injured,
talking about?
I'm saying
Right.
if you're injured and you're hurt, you're
I'm
not
with
going
you.
to help anybody else.
Okay.
In that situation,
Tourniquet
that's happened.
yourself.
You have to take care of yourself
Exactly.
first. You can't go in there going, well, if I go in there, I'm going to be a hero. No, you're going to get injured. You're going to get killed, and then you're not going to be able to help anybody.
yeah,
So it's along the same lines.
many great men had made the statement that, people that say, my kids are the most important, my wife is more important. If you're third in line, you're never going to make it to where you need to go. You need to be first in line so you can give your wife what you need. You need to be first in line so you can give your friends what you need and your kids what you need,
Right.
and on down the line. So it's absolutely true. I agree, and that's a trend I didn't pick up on, but so are the absolute facts.
I think that's a.
So that also
decent
said,
trend.
what's
going
are you
on
up to?
with go to tpsmedia.co, and in July we will be having open auditions again about people coming in wanting to do voiceover work and wanting to get their start in audiobook production, because that's what we're going to do at TPS Media. We do audiobooks and we do podcast production, and we do some EPKs.
And for those also listening, don't forget that they also bring the sexy.
and we bring.
They also bring the sexy pretty hard for those watching on YouTube and doing the video.
The hard part's my favorite part. Thanks.
Yeah, they bring it hard. And they bring the sexy strong, for sure.
Josh, I want to, you know what? I really want to thank you. I want to take the time and thank you, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have had this opportunity to meet amazing, wonderful people like Ashley tonight. And again, she's more than just a pretty face. She's more than just somebody who motivates you to work out. She's somebody who is making a difference in people's lives who don't normally get held up. And again, the military wives, military families.
I'm going to piggyback.
It's a huge thing.
I'm going to piggyback and say the same exact thing, a big thank you, because I never, ever, ever thought that I would be in a position where I would be able to just have a conversation, which I like talking, to people who have this level of commitment to things or are invested in themselves enough to say, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to do this. And have the guts to do those kind of things, because I don't have that. And to talk to these people, or I don't have that as much. But talking to these people, that makes you go, wait a second. Okay,
you're
so
gaining it.
I'm gaining some perspective by talking to these people, and it's an amazing journey, and it's just starting. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Wow. I don't know what to say. Like that's greatly appreciated.
Just
and honestly,
don't cry. Just don't cry.
I won't cry. I will knock the mic into my mouth. But no, honestly, like I asked you guys to be a part of it, because you guys had the equipment, so I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, because I knew you guys would kill it every damn show, and you do, and I appreciate it. You're good dudes. And, we'll have to bro hug it out when the cameras are off, for sure. I do appreciate you guys.
Put on
Thank
Instagram,
you.
either one.
Can we take our shirts off before
we should. Yeah, for the record, those of you watching, there is a possibility of a potential shirtless show eventually. So if you want to petition for it, Wellraiser shirtless show. If you get a ton, I want to see it.
Turn. Let's not do this.
Yeah, I think it would be absolutely hilarious. Slightly wrong. I
think it'd be funny,
but hilarious. And if that is the case, we will have to be very selective with who our guest is, because that could ruin our entire lives.
Yeah, no.
Well, we just
totally
ask
agree.
our guest to take his or her shirt off also.
Right, and that is where...
Well, she can have a sports bra on.
That's where things get creepy and why we don't let you talk at the end of the show. So, with that said, here on Wellraiser Radio, it's a safe place where there is...
no judgment.
Only kindness.
Just kindness.
Just kindness.
Damn it.
You know what?
You're going to get it someday.
You know
I
what?
got it last
He got it
time.
last time and it screwed you
all
up.
right. No judgment, just kindness. Guys, for those of you listening, these guys are wonderful. Don't fault them.
Please
for
don't judge.
sometimes.
Don't judge me. I'm sorry.
Thanks very much, guys. Now I suck.
Do it again.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Talk soon. Later.